Start jumping into some of these questions. First question from my man Jamie Tripp on YouTube. Hey Adam, looking forward to the live stream. Here is my question: if you were opening a brewery in the early summer, how would your tap lineup look? We are hoping to have 8 for opening, and we'll be doubling to 16 as we go through the year. Do you see a market opportunity in any particular style this year? Is there a style that you haven't brewed at Cartridge that you would like to try this year? Jamie, thanks for the question. And again, Brewers Apprentice, Jamie Tripp. So thanks so much. And if you remember, Jamie's got his spot that he's opening up north of the border, the friendly, nestling that brewery in the confines of the Great White North up there in Canada, right? So we're talking lineup. And I can give some pointers on this, but there might be some kind of bigger picture takeaways too. First of all, the regionality of the whole thing is just crazy. You know, if you go downtown in Cincinnati and you go into breweries, you're going to see multiple IPAs in most spots. And then you go a half hour outside the city to Mainville and you go to Cartridge and you see the 2 IPAs that we have on. And we're pouring a ton of lager, right? But that's a demographics game too. My customer base out in Mainville is different, is different, man. You know, so I mean that's going to be part of it. I get what you're asking, Jamie, when you say, well, like what can I get ahead on, like, because you do want to be ahead of the curve. Like it doesn't hurt at all to have something, a style that's hot that people are looking for, stuff like that. I would say, first of all, you're gonna need an easy drinking beer. You're gonna need a pale beer. That beer can be a lager, it can be a faux lager, or it could just be a blonde ale. When I say faux lager, I mean maybe like going with a colder pitched American ale yeast on a blonde ale. You could even go ahead and adjunct that up a little bit and add rice or corn to lighten up the body on it. But really, by and large, I think at most pubs, the lightest beer is probably one of the best sellers. Definitely top 3. And I know at the places that I've been, those in-house, man, that's what rolls. Is the lightest beer you have on the menu. So you need that. You need hops. You need a nice hoppy beer. People can say things like, well, you need stout, you need something darker. I don't move a lot of stout at my place. I don't know what the deal is. I sell a good amount of Prost, which is our Munich Dunkel, which is like a brown lager. And so that kind of scratches the itch a little bit, but that's going to be dependent. That's going to be dependent on, your clientele. So kind of what I would do is, try to hit those different points. But really think about what you think you can do well. I think maybe most times when people are coming in, they're going to get a sampler of everything that you have. Right. So just think best foot forward. Think tasty, right? Think tasty. I want to have a second pint of a beer. That's my feeling, but it could just be kind of some of my own personal prejudice showing there a little bit too. But I would that's my thinking. Something easy drinking, or not necessarily. You will need something easy drinking. But then beyond that, just stuff that you feel as if you do well. If you want to get a funky and wild, go funky and wild. But just make sure whatever you're doing is tasty and well done as you can. Because, which kind of takes you in the second portion of it. And I think that this is something that the original ownership at Cartridge did a really good job with, was they were essentially like, let's find out what people want to be drinking here, and then let's make it. I like that. And for us, we ended up making and selling more lager. It does require additional tank time, but it is, from a raw material standpoint, cheap. and it might be something that you can differentiate yourself with a little bit. It also happens that I happen to be particularly passionate about it, so that's nice as well. But let consumer preference guide that. Sometimes people say like Stone can say it, like with the whole like arrogant bastard thing. And Founders, I think Founders was saying for a long time, you know, like we brew what we want to drink and everything. That's great. Like those are all good things. But you know, on some level, you need to be making the beers that the public wants to drink as well. And you can be bold and you can be out there and different things like that. But you want people to drink multiple pints of whatever it is you're serving. One thing I would caution you against, and again, just kind of my take, don't have everything on your tap list be over 7%. That's it drives people away, and it reduces the number of pints people can have there, right? You're in the game of selling pints at the end of the day. So if you're gonna have those, what was it, 6-8 beers on at first, you can have some higher gravity stuff. But consider having a good measure of those in the 4 to mid 5s range. People like to sit down and have a few pints. So yeah, I mean that's just my take. But again, keep your eyes open. I mean, if you go into place after place and you see people just absolutely like destroying like brown ale in your area, don't be too thick-headed to say, well, I'm not making a brown ale. If for some reason brown ale is hazy IPA in your town, then make a brown ale. But Jamie, yeah, man, I mean that's kind of my big picture take here. Is there a style you haven't brewed at Cartridge that you would like to try this year? I know I'm going to be doing R&D stuff. I know I'm going to be working with some quick souring with chancey yeast and fruit. I know I'm hoping to be starting, and hopefully I'll have something to show for it soon. But hopefully I'm gonna be pairing up with maybe some people on the hop side and doing some very specific features on certain hop growers and certain varieties. So that would be great. But yeah. So as far as thinking about anything new and stuff that I'm looking to dig into, I'm a little bit in survival mode right now at work. You know, kind of getting everything sorted away. But I know I'm going to be making a lot of hazy beer, and so one of the things I want to be doing this coming year is getting sharper with understanding my hops, with understanding what different levels of hops is going to bring me in IPA. And then especially wrapping my mind around exactly what these thiolized strains are going to do, and kind of thinking about what the smartest thing, the smartest way for me to be using that tool going forward. As always, I would love to start to put a little energy into developing what will probably be my lifelong pursuit of, in my mind, the perfect Pilsner. I don't know. Yeah, I would love to be doing some stuff on that front. I just had an interesting talk this week with a rep from Crosby. And you know, I think there's some elbow room with some of these but they're not new. But there are some new German aroma varieties. But with some of this newer style Pilsner that's being brewed, whether you want to think of Italian Pilsner or just some American type interpretations like that, I'm interested in taking a look at some of the noble heritage American grown hops and using them in some of those newer school type Pilsners. Not just always hitting that beer with Saaz, Middle Frew, things like that. But maybe some of those things that are noble derived, whether they be a little bit of glacier. I believe I can also use the word comet here, maybe even a little bit of comet. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna be. That's what I'm gonna be chasing a little bit. So yeah, Jamie, appreciate your question, and as always, appreciate your support, brother.